Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Yamantaka retreat today. And thank you to those of you who have taken the time to go through the registration process. For those of you that have registered, the partial sadhana for the Yamantaka protection practice in Tibetan, Chinese, and English will be emailed to you after the empowerment this afternoon by Garchen Rinpoche, and the oral transmission is given by Bunimala. If you'd like to send any dedications and donations to be put on the Yamantaka shrine for the extent of the retreat, please email registration@garchen.net, registration@garchen.net by 12 noon today, Arizona time. And the entire retreat will be streamed on our Garchen Institute YouTube channel. And our retreat will begin this morning with Yamantaka commentary by Venerable Khenpo Tenzin, and we will begin with opening prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 1. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless as space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience, may they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness in the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. An infinite array of worlds, each with 4 continents and the wealth of infinite ocean of realms. If I bring them all to mind and offer them without exception, please hold with compassion all the beings they contain. My body, enjoyments, and whatever I own, my aggregates, elements, and sense sources, my aspirations now and in times to come, as well as everything I grasp as mine, by offering them all, may I be blessed with the end of self-grasping, completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and concepts of arising, cessation, and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may I be blessed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Rantna Mandala Pratishta Soha. Namo. To the Guru, the utter purity of all appearance and existence, I offer all appearance and existence arisen as the primordial ground. I supplicate you, may the 3 realms be completely liberated. Please grant blessings to empty samsara from its depths. Lord with 5 omniscient wisdoms, crown ornament, kind one with loving nature, precious protector of beings, heart of all Buddhas, inexpressible by words or thought, I supplicate you from the core of my mind. Bless me from within the state of Dharmata. Bless me to realize this mind, primordially pure and unborn, as the unfathomable Dharmakaya. Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles, and the teachings common to both, according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
tamke doje jajere sanro jinjamba to doje ponjamba sarja lombo dabra jipego jajajabo jadongo jans Durjin Janjian de lo naro dai mabamala juje gambo ba pamodo ba jawan dogong ba kajo lama nam je da jon je donan dana zara dam je do lama laba la ye je so zo lo son yon den jam zung a la wan den de don jen de be gele zor da ge lo ju zon ro war zin je lab do zor je lam don ro war zin je lab do so lam tro wa se war zin je lab do Drova yi ju zan jia war zin jia lao de so Gang ge den jen de war nyong Ga ba me ba jie me ba jie ba me ba da me ba wa me ba dro Ta de do me dun jen me zhu ba nye jie jie den ba zo bu san jie ma nan jie Dan ba de la zhan zar do Zhen jen za ba la ma jie jie gu song do jie zin la do da Da ge ju lan bu de Da ge den ba dan sim jen jie dong jia jen bang zhe war zin jie lao de so Teni da teren nga zo jambra shinji shi Yamantaka tiko la hyuyari Teni da nga zo chu kanda drumna yang janchuk sem shibada semni ya tsar tendung ne teni chu hienkin ke yang teni janchuk sem tsar tendung ne xie tabayi na 남주 냠리 히라 메나 양 디 추히에 버가서 냠리 징 차안 로고요 봐. 데니 추 닝킨 담제 그양 추 님버 값서 된 잠닝지야 쩌든도네 추 님바이나 데니 남주 히라 제 냠리 지마다 바이나 추 님버 값서 데니 추바 차안 로고요. 된잔데 ngaran so ke chik chik zo san je so mana ye te so karchim bola tse go yo re karchim bo cha do yo re den zan de ne ma zo chama ke de ne den ra seman jo jo joro na sen joro
na So today we will speak about the practice of Yamantaka, Manjushri Yamantaka. And so before that, so generally whatever Dharma we practice, we should give rise to a mind of bodhicitta. And so that goes for both the one who is teaching the Dharma, also the one who is listening to the Dharma. So the one who is teaching the Dharma also must cultivate bodhicitta. And even if they generally maybe normally don't have so much practice, the Dharma the teaching of the Dharma itself becomes their Dharma practice. And then also for the one who is listening to the Dharma teachings, when you listen to the Dharma teachings with a mind of love and compassion, and even if you normally do not have so much practice, the listening itself becomes a Dharma practice. So at that moment when you're listening, you become a Dharma practitioner. Because it is said that we are a fully perfect Buddha in just a single moment, momentarily. So that's an important point. So therefore, please, in the beginning, all of us, let's cultivate such a motivation of bodhicitta.
Tene jirtang janchok sim da ningje de zo za chimbo imba ha gowa ina tene Gijik zam la te semnang la janchok sem ji yo na ya teni je de la me yin ke semnang la janchok sem ji na o pinto yo re san za chim bo lo ran yin kin zin yong ge yo ba so so rang me yin la da ma ze chorang la janchok sem ji na ti nga ka o da ngone za chim bo ji jong thi san ya yo ra chorna ten so so la jong na ya Tini tanda ke de zachimbo chada yorowa, tini tanda yinza tini janchok sem da ninji ki zi mazi na tini nga tsu nyamli yinda zachimbo karen si na zachimbo chada ko yomare. Pena nima tila korang lo u gache yu na ya zhu mi na tini yang korang zhu ka chahiye ke lega tila to ko yomare. Di na yin chada yore.
So when somebody cultivates and really understands the importance and the preciousness of bodhicitta, of love and compassion, and it arises within their minds just even for a moment, then in that moment, for example, if you're together with another person, then the other person would feel that, and in that moment, the other person would feel that this is that's really very precious. This person is really very precious, and also it becomes very precious for yourself. And on the other hand, if you do not cultivate love and compassion or bodhicitta, and even if you engage in any sort of other precious practice, it doesn't actually become precious without bodhicitta. For example, no matter how bright the sunlight might be, if it doesn't deliver warmth, then it doesn't really perform its activity, its function, which is to provide heat and warmth.
Tene da teren shuya te jambar shinje shi tsebda yando mei pudre song tsin la tenda ta no. Dandalan tsin de la tene lalan tsin sorwa shinje tsebda song go yore. Tene da lalan tsin sorwa shinje tsebda hibande gandar 신지에 시대 가래래 시다 가서 대하고 고요로 신지에 시바 동고토란 잠배 양차도 요래 동고토란 잠배 양차 용도 되네 나랑서 신진 탐체 그줄라 잠배 양게 사용 요래 잠배 양게 사용 대 간라베 요래 세드 탄 심진 돈로 순주 그줄라 시랍 요래 자사고도 춘통고도 상야게 삼노도 참아 히랍차용 그요래 대인장 자와 탐지 이힐롱도 제 기반데 다 간달 잠배양 제나레 야미타카 세나레 되게 나랑스 줄어요 be 히랍 대 참아 기바차도 요래 자체 좀 차선 제발 요래스나 요래 간스나 다 디기 히랍데 용수 줘봐 미용바 차드니 데니 잠베 양스 데니 히랍데 용수 줘봐 미네 데니 드르자 강라 간더크 토니 데니 틀레 저동 용거요드 다 론추 줘봐 거에나 토니 데니 잠바 야미타가스 데니 다랑 나랑수 줄요 베 히랍데 야짜르데 조 미장 데니 다 다라 나랑수 소소 주랑 잠배양 리세나 제 갈갈에 가보 차도 요래 다 됐다만 그래스.
So today we speak about this sadhana here of Manjushri Yamantaka, the Lord of Life. And so the title, the name of the sadhana is that it is deemed the protection and the repelling practice of Manjushri Yamantaka's repelling razor of fire. So what we need to understand in terms of the name is who Yamantaka actually is, Manjushri Yamantaka. So as the name implies, his nature is Manjushri. And Manjushri is a quality that is also present as a seed in our own minds. For example, even an animal has the Manjushri seed in their minds because all beings possess intelligence to some extent. For example, the fact that the animal is thinking about finding food and water and so on, that is their intelligence, their wisdom. And ultimately it is said that all the Buddhas are one, all are one within this vast expanse of wisdom. And we can give that the name Manjushri or Yamantaka, or we call it our own wisdom, our own mind. So in that sense, in essence, it's all the same. All of Manjushri's wisdom, our own wisdom is the same. But then when it comes to the vastness, there is a difference. So for the Buddhas like Manjushri, the wisdom mind has fully matured And having perfectly matured their wisdom mind, they are able to perform enlightened activities in the form of Sambhogakaya to tame, to benefit sentient beings. And so in order to do that, Manjushri then appears as the Sambhogakaya Manjushri Yamantaka. And so for us, in our mind, the wisdom in our mind, the power of our wisdom has not yet been fully matured or kind of brought to completion. And so therefore, from our perspective, to just say, you are Manjushri, so that's a little bit difficult to say that.
다 대인데 다 나랑 저근데 그 잠버 힌지시가 라드 드럼다 레카노 가레 끄고 그래스 라드라 레카노 가레 끄고 그래스드 데니 저당 다 나랑 저 군족고 완도 시드 데니 나랑 저체 내 나차미 바진 파르체 마용와 다 텔라 소바게 데니 담비 추드바라 데니 파르체 메바 다 토소그 치드 레와지 자고 요러와 대인자 데니 다 군접 잔조 완도 시인데 데니 다 잠버 힌지시게 쇼버글레 토네 다 데이터버지 나랑 솔라 장님제 장조그셈 마지바 지바시바 지바야 고는 배발시바 든단 안크요 바레 데니 다 동다 제제버 왕자 세바이나 데니 체드서 파싱 생활시바 데니 롱주드서 양 배발시바 데니 롱주 탐지야제 담배추 초사바 드소 그치도 데니 양 배발시바 든다 차그요레 데니 다 왕 토는 상당와이나 간tar ranang wang dunduna yinang serjinero som dan dengune tane samlo yapo tangwaina de chado yore ranang wang dunduna sedu suso ge juge chado rawang hedang raw지 돼서 민로디 yinang serjini 용 세바데 drase야지 메이스 drase야 띠니 미바 차나도 수소를 제 컨트롤 사요 그 자노 미바차노 요러봐 데네다 제 잡부 제나다 잡부 세전데 된 가르침 버자들 하고 거야 잡부 히바데 인제 소제 톱 던라가 남바들 건 닝게 말이 간리시디 수소 그 줄라 로버 그치 다 뉴몽 잡부 지연데 데네 된 들어와라 데네 히랍 고요래 다 히랍 그마도 로버 그 뉴몽 침포지 뉴몽 빼 자자보데 데니 좀 더고요 말 히랍 그마도 디찬다라 메이프드스 신소이도와 메이프드신 신소와데 히랍 그찰다 용고요 데니 소소 그 히랍 되게 데니 삼노 당한데 담보 그 해당 세제데 유랑은 말아봐지 이야시 최나는 양소용 바 랍잠지 리야시 다 된다라고 지 삼노 코나 코란인 게데니 좀 더고요 봐 된다 차도요래.
And so then, what is the activity that we entrust or we ask Manjushri Yamantaka to perform? So, on a relative level, we want to be free from illness and we don't want to encounter obstacles. Also, especially in our Dharma practice, we request the deity to avert any obstacles. And so also on the relative level, Manjushri Yamantaka even performs pacifying activities. For example, helps us to develop love and compassion where it has not yet arisen and to increase it where it has arisen. And also he performs increasing activities, that is, through the practice we increase our lifespan and resources, and also we accumulate merit according to the Dharma. And also he performs controlling or magnetizing, overpowering activities. It is said that when one overpowers or controls one's own perceptions, then one will outshine the perceptions of others. And what that means is that when you control your own perceptions, that means that when you have freed yourself of, for example, jealousy and anger, then naturally that outshines the perception of others. In other words, for example, then you don't have an enemy because there is no enemy that you're angry at. So that's the magnetizing or controlling activity. And then the wrathful activity, that's one thing that's important to understand, because the wrathful activity should not be understood as an activity that is violent and really causes harm and injury to others. But how we should understand it is from the perspective of our own mind and how we cut through the very fierce, strong afflictive emotions when they arise. So when they arise, in order to subdue them, we need wisdom. And when they are very strong, when the afflictions are very strong, then it's really only wisdom that can subdue them. And that's in the title, The Repelling Razor of Fire. That is like a name for wisdom, our own wisdom in our own mind. And so wisdom recognizes that, for example, the anger or the object of our anger does not actually inherently exist. And the anger itself doesn't really exist. So when it arises just like a wave on water. And so if you have such wisdom that of recognition, or wisdom who recognizes that, then you will naturally be able to destroy any afflictive emotion.
Ta susu juke nyumong so turtang la tabla mamboyren doye kaps turtang nga kan turtang nga nang ne yang tini juden rame le ten tini tabla mambo sung ko yore ten ta kam deni chumba yena tini ngarang su jula nyumong rabo jin de nyumong te korang ngo hiba jin nyumong ke korang ke ngo hiba jwa yena tini nyumong ka cheji ba yena yang tini ti ngarang su ko ju hirap de ya yarjen roya ke tunji len jor soma de tawe jin chungdun la teni darang arang so yedang go la de solo be teni phata de trapon ro tena jian do de cha yong ko yori nyumong ka rangsar de ha ko yong ba nyumong ke zan ro de gandar ngarang so yishi cha do yore ngane sanje kunji yishi de toglane songwan de 동다 뉴몬 강라지는 양 되니 셈 이시중어 되니 양 소용 거요 되니 저거 요나 데게 라인도 하고서이나 당하는서 나주 딱보로 뭐지가 송거 요러와 람트와 세와시 코 뉴몬도 야진데 되니 트로아 가르르스네 되니 뉴몬라 뉴몬인바 하마고 야는 뉴몬 거 라우 이시인바 하마오도 tene talent turn di jisen rang ne tene chadang ke leso de tene ngarang solo mundu ba ge donga se ba ne ke chen do go tam na ba gon do tene chen do go yore de yenza ta tena moyong wala lam troa servers jinjel lab de sor se ngarang sun dong go yor nam je tene jinjel lab de sor se de la yin ba je so so le ta de ba kla je ge tene so so lo ro ba ji ba te ta ba ma yin ba so so sem ju ngo to la ro ba jing kin je yu de ba semju ngo de roba jingkin de la ndrewa kanda ji gorsna susu ngo hibade ken ndrewa cha yong go yoba ta tenda je ha go go yore.
And then there are many different methods to tame the afflictive emotions. Many methods are taught in the sutras and many in the tantras, and even within the different classes of tantras. There are also many different methods to practice. But then, so generally, when a very strong afflictive emotion arises, it's wisdom that has to recognize it. It is awareness that has to recognize it. And then when there is a sharp recognition, then no matter how many afflictive emotions arise, they actually become an enhancement to wisdom. Wisdom grows even stronger if there is awareness that recognizes the afflictions. And so that is actually the nature of the wrathful Yidam deities. So they represent this immense power, a force that is behind the afflictive emotions and also the wisdom that recognizes them. And so basically what this wisdom recognizes is that the force, this energy behind the afflictive emotion is nothing other but wisdom. It is actually the force, the power of wisdom. So later in that text in the Sadhana also it says that I am the primordial wisdom of all the Buddhas. So Manjushri Yamantaka is. And so it is the awareness that recognizes that whichever afflictive emotion arises is the natural manifestation or the kind of expression of the essence of mind itself. Gampopa had said, please grant your blessings that confusion may be dispelled on my path. So the confusion is when an afflictive emotion arises and we do not recognize its nature. We do not recognize that it actually is a natural expression of primordial wisdom. And not recognizing that, we see it as ordinary and we follow it. So we develop many thoughts of attachment and aversion. And then due to that, we encounter all kinds of undesirable circumstances that we are then tied to, bound to. So grant your blessings that confusion be dispelled. The blessing is the blessing that arises is not really that there is some external deity that comes to help, but actually it is the essence within your own mind that supports you, that is there. You just need to know how to connect to that essence of your mind. And so basically when there is recognition, when there is awareness, this is how you connect.
Samsan soso la samno tan soso la. Oh, sanje ke chupecha. Nando mambo sondo lama gewishini ke mambo sungdo. Kare sungdo sina. La ransin pa manzin sungdo. Tenga la de dumdu ndo ngala. La de ko compound tumdu ndo. Tene taronga ke kare sina la ransin pa jindo gore. La ransin pa jina tene la de soso la kare la go dumde yaputun drop to me ba. Tene gewishini nambe sungdo. Tene sanje ke kala ndo. Tene kare chin trachi gore se. Soso la trawa ndo je trawa. Tene samnon jwa to no. Ta da tang la ransi yermi jingani ta ji drop gudo se ta data we chowa ji samsa ji ya yorwa soso longon samna tawa ina namjun ta soso la sam te chu drop ga samna ta te ta ton ta nang samsa jezo gulo soso ya jin roya la pendo yu se barwa.
Sometimes can also think in this way that when all of the different scriptures of the Buddha say it, and also the many lamas and the spiritual teachers say it, they say that do not perceive the deity as ordinary. And so then I reflect and I think that I do want to accomplish the deity. I do want to attain the state of the deity. So then if that is what I want to accomplish, then at the same time, I'm still grasping or perceiving the deity as something separate, as something ordinary. So as long as there is this kind of disconnect there, then I will not attain a real result, the desired result of my practice. So this is what actually all the teachers have said. This is what the Buddha had said. So then why is it that I'm seeing things in this ordinary way? And so this is how when we think slowly our mind changes, and we come to the conclusion of thinking actually the way to practice the deity is from within a state where my own mind and the deity's mind, the Buddha's mind, is all indivisible from within the state of oneness. So gradually, when you reflect in this way, such a feeling then will arise within you. And so when we think in this way, also just generally when we practice the Dharma, then it really can be very helpful to improve our practice.
Tene da tene teranga ngarang zo sungkor sunga dik ke ton yamni nang ke yuza tene sungkor zenari te ti tone jiram te tone des ji hubaina samso je dang jiram da zoram sibande di zoram tar simbaji jule ji gowaina jiram dela nintin sa go je insare rikpa sarcha manga ba songdo tarate kundu zambo molana sarcha manga ba hibade rikpa zoram ka kapsu rikpa sarcha nga manga hibade jinram la nintin se ma je ke chebar chembo yo sare sa kai sina ngarang su samre ji zoram gone te che tana ke ji nelo rang ka thola tani yad yo san soso te ri 참장 수수수소롱 고건도 탭 시바레 간사 나랑수 줄로 뚜목도 셰침보 요자 데고 요바데 임 데단테 삼야근 짐바 미디 티 나랑수 그때 내로이 사팅알아 티네데드 테니다 어베 참산드니 고걸 탐로야 데나 차크요레 덴데 리프 사차 망가바시 사르차티 톨네 고이나 티니 진람라 닌틴지 고노 제단 진람 고얀데라 당아테스 딘조 망보리데 참장 데팅거동아 나랑수 드라마 냠린 지그요레 자니마 딱발라 티캅스 드라마 게타라데 니바티 캅스 테니 나랑수 곰자그요라 테 곰자데렘베 ngamtrain toso gom kholo gom teni tadawina gom dudu teni 참상 초파 망보 초야요나 깔레 카하면다 드수 람상 로르다 참사rembe ying제니 위너런 지마 gom요와 gom르와 양 참상 글로벌 더 gom 텔라테스 제바 용거도 테엔드 간타르 참사 람상 숨코르데 다라드로마 gom데 hopte kala gom요데 안 두수 퉁퉁 살면서 양 gom마도 테니 양제 gom니 마라야노 차안디 양 rembe ying도 gom 간타르 셈데 테니 카마다와지 이제 티 지름데 데레데 티 셈데 제 초바 같이 초데나 당아 메체랜도 제당 두수 토네야 개핀직 노와 데테니 두수데안 조보 노노야 노 진도하 티 데나인데 지름 gom지데 테니 양 가르침보지 차데요레
So today we speak about the visualization, starting with the protection sphere, and so which is the generation stage, the visualization. So we generally speak about generation and completion, and in order to really accomplish the completion stage, we have to first really make an effort in the generation stage. In the Samantabhadra prayer, it says the clarity of awareness, at the power of clarity, the power of clear awareness must be unceasing clear awareness. And that is really the kind of determining factor when it comes to the generation stage. And so whether or not we actually practice the generation stage depends on that. And so often we go straight to the completion stage and we think that I'm just resting in the nature of the mind, I'm just resting in the natural state. But sometimes it's also possible that we maybe are cheating ourselves a little bit because our ignorance is also very strong, that we often conveniently think that, oh, this is the natural state and we just stay there. But then we're actually not really in the natural state. So we are maybe fooling ourselves a little bit sometimes. So this is where this point of the unceasing power of clear awareness comes in. That must be unceasing. That's very, very important. So I, for example, as you can tell, I often think about all kinds of things. But for example, one time I thought and we're doing the White Tara practice on Sunday, which we always do on Sunday, one thing that really helped was that when we are doing the mantra recitation, so during the mantra recitation, we also meditate, and so there is this like stages of visualization. So we visualize the mantra garland and the different stages that involved in that generation stage here. And sometimes I find that if I just visualize gradually this and then that slowly, then suddenly the time is already over, and it's not so difficult to sit in a group practice for a long time. Time just flies by. And sometimes when we visualize just instantaneously, just like that, you visualize Tara or the protection sphere and so on, then often, and then a short time seems to be really kind of a long time, and then it's more difficult. And so then it depends. When that is the case, then you can switch to this gradual visualization where you again kind of build up the visualization one by one. And then personally, I feel that then suddenly the time just flies by, and I'm not even tired from doing, no matter how much time I spend in the practice, it doesn't seem to make me so tired. So that's really a very, maybe very beneficial also for kind of the time to pass by quickly. But also it really helps your, making an effort and training the mind in the generation stage.
Dike sungkor de gomdang di tone ma huna dala ringbore chama de gontaya des kala kaboyore tutoje ktola ina datin chirang su terang ga he ha kon rogwa te ha ko rimba te gomde nan de yore lakpar de ben da rimboche tabu ke ma song yong de de teng se ngarang so gtini semde del tene gongo yore ngune ben ta de ngarang so namju 동판 동야망 요사 곰지랑 그 돈이 틀고 요래 동반 돈도 먹음 곰도 문도 때때리지 때네 가랑서 추듭당로 드고 안에 하고도 드듭당로 마히송아 곰 값은 동야 말이 삼산로제 엉에 곰자 동파 추는 동야 말이다 선산로 양에 너만도 그 곰자 하면서 때때리지 가서 초슬롱로도 하면서 가랑서 딘 동판 돈지 때 moda ke te pas chuje de steering de da waje cha da yore teni ti jil te kawachu na ya moda ko te yong go te ngarang chu sem de gom ko na thi yong go yore tene gom ne ten ta dere ten de ga ta sem de da no ba de jisu yong ba ina te gom cha da yore te ke ta no ba re ba gom de moda de korang ti jil yongwa de moda de khok jil yongwa de gom cha de yora sem ti jil yongwa de kholo de nan de kholo sin nan de ta kholo nan de da kholo ya.
So in this text, the visualization for the protection spheres is quite extensive and long, and so it's very difficult, of course, to visualize all of that at once. But you might be familiar with some of it, so you just meditate on whatever you're familiar with first. And so basically during the practice, when Rinpoche recites the Rinpoche will recite, it's the Vajra master who recites the visualization. And so at that time, we just listen and we meditate on the meaning, which is the visualization, as Rinpoche recites it. And actually, what happens then at that time is that we actually unify the recitation of the visualization we unify that with our meditation. So often what we actually do is we separate recitation from meditation. So for example, we say that I'm just meditating. I don't want to do all kinds of recitations, or the other way around. I'm just doing recitations and not really meditating. So that is actually kind of falling into an extreme. actually these need to be combined. That's the recitation, which is the visualization, actually must be unified, should be unified with meditation, so that the recitation itself becomes the meditation and so on. So for example, it's like when you're driving a car, the steering wheel, the wheel is like the recitation, and then wherever you go, so if you turn left, then the car turns left and right and to the right and so on. So basically the car follows wherever you steer the wheel. So it's just like that. So meditation and recitation kind of go hand in hand like that.
Teni dande gond tomar de la sobawa shuda sarva dharma sobawa shuda ham sijindan di de karchimbo hyu chada yore tomar gewa sijindan ro chada yore kari resena sobawa zendu ta kandar chutam je ranyin ke tene tonghi dame be namba de tin go yore de ken donda derwa chutam je ranyin ke tonghi dame ba yen be junsin la tine Tenita ngaranzoke dharma dato aso toni ninji songdun jukpa tege teni kunla chapto go yores da seba do yona toni seju de maina teni chapto go yomare kola che na woje yorwa che sansam ra woje yorwa da du chane nga da chu samjang ra woje teni kunla chapto go yomare 다 돈이 임베 내가 되게 되니 돈이 되다 닌지 송던 좋은데 되니 저랑 그 닌지 되게 똥반이 그 가와 찹도 요나 주 닌지 되게 참로 요래 레와 다 대인데 되니 저랑 그다 돈이 되람 스테용데 엄소바와 진도데 되 똥반이 갈로 봐 라미 요인데 대가 되니 저랑 그 닌지 그 짤던 돈데 다 돈이 그 가와 참나 찹도 요래 어때 건 거요레스 다뭐
The visualization begins with the mantra Om Svabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Svabhava Shuddho Hang, which means all that exists is pure and empty by nature. So that is this is very important to begin with. So all phenomena are empty, which is that they are selfless. And so then it continues with Dharma Dhatu A, and which is then it unifies this emptiness that we have established with compassion. And when you unify emptiness with compassion, then the mind becomes all pervasive. For as long as there is a self, then there's no emptiness, and therefore when there's no emptiness, the mind is not all pervasive. Then you have this perception of me and you, and that creates a boundary. So there's a limit, there's a delineation. There's a limit to how far you can go because there's a boundary. So therefore you cannot be all pervasive. But then when you unify emptiness with compassion, then wherever emptiness goes, wherever emptiness pervades, that's also where compassion then can pervade. So therefore, when you recite this mantra first, the Om Svabhava mantra, then in that moment, instantly meditate in a state of emptiness and selflessness, and just rest within that state. And then with the next line, then you, with Dharma Dhatu A, then you bring to mind compassion, unify the emptiness with compassion, and then know that this union can pervade everywhere.
다디오든 보디지다 홍스 보디 히바데 가레레 장촉 선르와 지다 히바데 닝르와 홍시바데 다 셈중오 랑게데니 셈중오 이시다 이시 세제데 가레레 센조조고나 홍스제들 조고요리 따라 파빈 베똥버갑서 대용도 다 대다베데 간데 차도요리 다 장촉sem 똥만이 닌제데 코 송든 족바 차송 송든 죽사데 가와 차소스나 르뽕오 르바 이시중오 홍데라 차송세 Teni hong de la ta je hong ting na ra je san de go yor jum sing kan ris na ta te chuni yora mi pe chani ko ndubze ke te je bakcha de tar sung ti chani teni tara de hong ting na se ta de da je san de go yore.
And then it says bodhicitta hum, and that is so bodhi is the awakening, and chitta is the mind or the heart. So it is the essence, the nature of the mind. And so then, if you want to kind of feel a point of reference that you can point at, this is wisdom, then it is the hung. So the hung represents that. So it represents the primordial awareness, this essence of the mind. And so that is when that is with bodhicitta hung, emptiness and compassion have become fully unified. So then you think that the primordial awareness then arises as the syllable hung, a dark blue hung. And the dark blue hung represents the unchanging nature of dharmata, of reality itself, that is devoid of all karmic formations and habitual tendencies. It's the natural state that we visualize in the form of a dark blue hung syllable.
Teni ta di order hong de la da hong ting na de la teni uzan tro yong go yore. De ge kare ji ji ge ngarang zo tamar ge zimba ge ji de ra dang zi hian dang siman ro je kang ba dang zi tamar ge zimba yore de ka yong go yore. De ka ya ge chi de teni ta hong de la uzan tro ne teni dang ha ge ram yang kam zi teni ram le me teni kam le chu yam le long ta de da wen de ke teni ta me chu long som de ge teni ma da ben sin sin tam ji sik teni 마다봉고 보단주 tor 마다봉고 보단지 파다네 다 대답에 제송 세티니 남중 알아서 그제 띵다 띵바시 띵 야예강 세주데 노주 담지 야예강 세주데 다 뒤도는 저 제대 지고 요바래.
And then from the dark blue hung syllable, light radiates, and what this represents is the cessation of our ordinary thinking. So we have these ordinary perceptions in our mind. For example, we see a mountain or trees and a house. So these ordinary perceptions, so these all cease. They are brought to an end through the light of the hung. So the light radiates, and then next then arises ram, yam, and kam, with ram, yam, and kam all grasping to things as real is burned, scattered, and cleansed. So the ram is the fire, and kam is water, and the yam, the yam, what's it? Yam is the, kam is the water, right?
Long.
Oh, that's a different order. Then kind of ram, kam, yam.
Yang. Ram is me.
Yeah, tambokherang.
Ram.
Kam chu, then long. The order was a little different, yeah. But kam is the water, and then yam is the wind. But so here we have ram, yam, kam. So it's fire, then wind, then water. Anyway, so in that way, through fire, wind, and water, all impurities are burned away, and they are scattered, and they are all purified. And then, so from within that state of purity, then arises so it says the animate and inanimate universe arises as purity. So first the inanimate universe, which is the container, the outer universe, then arises as the boundless palace of the deity.
다 대점 띠그 차네 대점 대 검나 대 semla 대야 그때 레라베 차테리 티니 띠거는 대서 다른 힙차노 양검 상케요나 곤통케요나 티니 다히 홍텔레 이게 에체 용고 요리스 티니 에텔레 가레차 요르스나 남카 홍텔라 티니 남카 차 용고 요리스 텔라다 저거로 춤종 단 중콩탐 참아 춤종의 용거 여러와 이 앱들 춤종 여러 난카데 춤종 그 앱 되는 텔레 얌 텔레 되니 다라테 롱도르지 자람 자가 요리스 이 어도 되니 람레 메 징커 람 이게 람 되니 밤레 초이 징커 되니 람 시제텔레 되니 사이 징커 사데야 저거 세르지 사이 된 조라미 베차네 대답에 제양 밤 데스 제바에나 되나 저게 요래 텐테 따라 대양 드라 십타 고마타 난 저게 요래 마테랑 거 이게 난 저게도 망에 히에서 대파도 검스 난 저게도
So this is the more kind of a brief way of visualizing, and so that's also easier. But then if you want to visualize more and go deeper, then it would continue with then from the hung breaks off an a syllable. So an a comes from hung, and the a syllable represents the space element, and the Dharma Dhatu, or the Dharma Daya, like the kind of the source of all the phenomena, that is this tetrahedron, is crossed two triangles. This shape of these two interlocked triangles is a representation of space, the space element. So A, therefore, is space, and then it goes on, then from Yam comes wind. Then here it explains the whole thing, but more elaborate. So you can either do just Ram Yam Kam, or you can do, then from Hung becomes A, which is space, and then from Yam comes wind, and across Vajra, and then from Ram, at its hub appears a fire mandala, and then from Bam, water mandala, and from Lam, a golden ground, which also has the meaning of being stable and unchanging. So this is how you can visualize in a more elaborate way, or you can just stick to bringing to mind the Ram Yam Kam, which is the concise way.
다 대값서 ngaranzul chur truyade tani darate ti jingkor yayekan de chur trobyon go yori tani pa gare sen ro yorsina tani ngaranzul ke sigun jongwa tamjele tubeke tani mada ben sima tamje tani da no go yobares tani da ti od tani gare gongo yorsina dumye 다 dumye dela 카동아 딘송 마요사는 카동아 딘송 형가 현은 되는 세지 카도다와 송가 받는다 노다텔라 되는 드미액 되네 되는 가래 용어 요르시나 되는 주딘 кар보 되는 주딘 кар보 오저 카동아 딘 좋아지 지고요르 다틱 줍차나 오데 다른 가랑서 저 아드카드 시반데 리데 아드카드 시바데 동고돌라 탑데 히랍 중고요르 탑신이라 뛰네 탑데 히랍니라 뛰네 되니다 kunzo ko wand seba ina yang kandar tab de hiram ni latine pe na ngarang su mo simjin je ma jewa ling go yana pa tab go ran hi ma hira go ran hi tu ne yong ko yore ti dong ke ne lok de to par seba la yang tab ning ji jim bo da hirap dong ba ni song de man ba ina de ne lok du ngun du joya me ba re simjing go de ngun du joya me ba re de yin zan de ne ko tsama ke drubzi na wote tabda hiramni chade de tensung go yore
then so then what appears is the boundless palace, and so then what it accomplishes is first of all impurities have been purified. And so then within that appears the pure palace, or the boundless palace. And so then it says then from next then, so how it appears is that from a brum syllable arises a white stupa radiating with 5-colored light. And so most say that it is that this brum syllable also possesses like this multicolored rainbow light. But some also say it is a golden or yellow in color. So then there is this stupa, a white stupa that arises radiating with 5-colored light. And the stupa is made of the Sanskrit vowels and consonants. And so what the Sanskrit vowels and consonants represent is the union of method and wisdom. Also on a relative level, actually, when we take birth through the union of method and wisdom, which is the method quality of the mother and the wisdom quality of the father combined leads to our birth. And likewise on the ultimate level, if method and wisdom, which is method being great compassion, before I made a mistake, it's the wisdom of the mother and the method of the father. So anyways, if wisdom and method do not come together on the ultimate level, then we cannot realize the nature of the mind. This is what is represented by that. So the building blocks for the stupa is method and wisdom, which is in the outer level, the Sanskrit vowels and the consonants.
Tan chutin zam che gomne yang te zam la cham ya jena ti panchu la chutin ti to la hiptra ma gomda mandek ba ke yo mare yang ti ka la hiptra gom thumkhin yina tan chutin de la teni ngo dorji phalam se da mship na ba ten sung yo re ti ga la teni dinter panram teni dok to nyama la so ba chama tarang arang chu chutin la kang yo ba ti na yin je gong go yo re hiptra gom thon na 다 공고야 제대 주딘 되게 분파 주딘 참말 분파 요러 분파 분파디 제라 되니 다 나랑 저게 다시 이시 그 뭐제난데 르바 르봉고 홍 되게 홍 따라데 홍지 공고요리 되니 홍들에 되니 세르지 도르지 자담 되니 세르지 도르지 자담 하고 세르지 도르지 자담 때래 되니 다 dorji me dorji gate chacha sidita je jin parche thangje se parche nangdu madon wa nangung de ser mro wa de so ge ta chungsi de tene ndara de dorji ge tene chacha chela lan khwa de de ta je gomna tene tanrachi go yoris.
So then for the stupa, again, if you cannot visualize too much, too elaborately, then you can just visualize that part of the stupa. But if you want to visualize more, there's many more parts to it. So, for example, then the stupa is some diamond-like in essence, which is it has an adamantine, unchanging, invincible essence, and then it has many different layers to it. So there is a throne, and there is different steps, and there is a vase, and so forth, and then there is sun and moon, and there is a jewel on top, and so on. There's different steps, different stages of visualization that you can visualize, but if not, the most important thing to visualize in the stupa is the stupa's vase on top, and inside that vase is the hung syllable. So to say it in brief, so there is a hung syllable that has the nature, the essence of your awareness, your primordial awareness. And so then from that hung there appears this like lattice of a golden crossed vajras emitting sizzling vajra sparks from each of their openings. And so that creates this sphere that prevents any outside harm from entering, and also from any siddhi accomplished on the inside from escaping.
다 대인데 저 검네 핀토 가래 요레시다 카인로 요 말랑랑 설제 핀토라고 제 거래와 지산로 고 요장 가래리스도 조런 그 이시제와라 되니 짜다 롱다 틸레 탐제 레스롱와 지그 요레송 조런 그 이시줄레 제와라 랑 고마든지 설민발시 발았더니 더 소배 가르침 받쳐도 요레스 다 대인데 다 다다디 조름 때 렐하포 돈더니 곰터 봐죠 대차가 요러와 Tene te ta tara teke dorji tara chacha chelalan kordo teke ta gawo khajur teya ta tabda hiramdra chungko yor kanda gawo khajur wa tabat nangdo ta karek go yor pema dawa nyama jegom ten ti gangla tene herje dorji tsenga ba uzur kunlan chwa je gom ta ti tewala tene hongje gom 대기 지고 요레스 단 네값은 알아서 달 다 신제 라파 신다 소소라니 라지야 제란도 테크 톨다 램지 지요로가 대인자 되니 텔레 다라테 홍텔 오전 트윈디 되니 야마트라 밤시 야마 시바데 저당 신제 시바 동라 트라 밤시바데 밤로 그 동다직 차도 요레 신제 폼모 밤로 시데 라츠 지드도마
So then, now what's the benefit of doing this visualization? Of course, we can't blame ourselves for asking that question, because whatever we do, we want to have some benefit. So the benefit of visualizing, practicing the generation stage is that that actually then we can much more easily accomplish the wisdom of the completion stage. So that's the benefit. So then back to the visualization. So there's these Vajra sparks emitting forth. And so then inside that appears, in this Vajra, then there appears a sealed reliquary, like a sealed sphere. And inside that sphere, there is a lotus, moon, and sun, upon which is a 5-pronged crystal Vajra radiating with light. And at the hub of that Vajra is a Hung syllable radiating with light. And then it says, from the sound Yam Dera Bam arises the seed of male and female yamas. So then here at this point we come to the visualization of the deity, so which we also often refer to as kind of consecrating ourselves, so arising as the deity. So Yam Dera Bam, Yama Dera Bam is Yama is the Yama, referring to Yamantaka here also, and Dera Bam refers to the seat of male and female Yama. So Yamantaka is on top of the seat of male and female Yamas.
Tene ta te tenda tene mahe langu taje nire tana nordewa tana ji ji yore ta meni ag rempe gong kodwa te indu ta di ke che mahe langu nordewa te ke karen sung yoresna te che ta wang lojin na lako yore te nin jambar hinje hi ke mar jipsin jambe yang chobu ko le yen te nin che da hinje tor yundu te ke che jarta rawo je tor thoba kan sung dong rawo je sung yo song do te gang la tene yang dara de nyama chibda torwa chibda tor du te ke tor thop song se jarta ro tene ta te gala tene nyama dawa pema din sum che dara je gom tene te gana ta jo yige tene hong ting na je gong go yores.
So then the visualization continues. Above them is a seat of 2 intertwined male and female water buffaloes. So also regarding the nature of some of that, it will also occur in the history of the empowerment. But so what that represents here, the seat of intertwined male and female water buffaloes, is that when the way Manjushri Yamantaka appeared is that he is the infuriated, wrathful manifestation of the peaceful Manjushri. And so appearing in this wrathful form, Manjushri Yamantaka, then he conquered the Lord of Death, Yama, the Lord of Death. And these 2 intertwined male and female water buffaloes is a sign of this conquering. And then it continues, upon that is a sun, a moon, and lotus stacked on top of each other. And above this, from a dark blue causal syllable hung, 5 colored light issues forth.
Alright, teni tarate te hong tingna de lozer chuang ba te ke teni ta je jingin parche ta ngarang zola hincha tamar gen zin do tamje teni mi ba je song samne teni ta de ke teni di ozer de teni chun du ne teni namja ge dor je ze ge ba je la me teni de la yang 홍익 팅카지겐 신데 바제 메 된다베 드니 되게 홍익 된 드니 오전 추는데 드니 파파 탐지 양추 드니 심 달망인 손 탐지를 대베는 인손 그 드니 드바 탐지 양 단다메 드니 대양 디 오저드 촌드 된다 남중아랑 저그 초가 참아는 요반한 기차를 디 오저드 촌트네 저발 드니 아도 때가 야미다가 홍배서 단데 초 신지시 간다 아도테가 야미다가 시반데 꾸솜 람체라 효요리 달라 지버근하 효요리 간다 디게 난동데 다 가르스나 다라디 나랑 저게 초절 신지시 시부동다 차도 요바리 드니 디감스 드니 다 드니 라니 잠버 신지시 꿈도 팅나 데이터베이스 지고요레스
So then there is so above this all of this is a dark blue hung syllable from which light radiates, and this dark blue hung, and then so the light that radiates, then first we think that it clears away all of our own negative like misfortunes and all obstacles and all clinging attachment and our ordinary thinking. All of that has been cleared away by the light, and then the light radiates outwards and it gathers back, and then it transforms into a 9-pronged vajra made of meteoric iron, adorned with a deep blue hung syllable at its hub. And then again, from that light radiates, from that hung, and it first makes offerings to the noble ones, the Buddhas, and then it benefits sentient beings by purifying the obscurations, especially the beings in the lower realms. And then the light gathers back. So that's actually very similar to how it is done in all the other different sadhanas. So the light gathers back and it transforms into the mantra Om Akroteka Yamantaka Hung Pet. And so that is the mantra of the wrathful Yamantaka. This Akroteka mantra is explained as, the meaning of it is explained as taking the 3 kayas as the path, or also it is the mantra that kind of generates the deity. And so here it is it represents the mantra itself represents the deity, the wrathful king, Yamantaka, Manjushri Yamantaka. And so then from there on, then I arise as Manjushri Yamantaka.
And the Adroteka send the Trojar Yori, Yamitaka Sedu, Shinjirwa, Shinjishirwa, then Hongpai Hibateke, Tenita Kandar Hong Shibadi Kapsu, Chujuka the Dingo Yori, and the Chujuka ne. Then Lonjuzubo Color Yang Yore Mato Tinim Jazogo me Pajing also could start to Zudevando Chakayo Mares. Then that take a cumdo and Tinare. Then the so young Karchimbo Chad Yoran, so long, Mahina Tinila, Jinam Gongo, the Goyami, but Chad Yorova. Then the Tinitella was some Yuri, take a cosum Sungayori, Chato Yuri, then take a paradise in Baton Sungayori. Then soon he bade Coranzo. Paradise simbato nyamso langne nyamni tek devet ngud churwale chungwaji chade yore dikchani ta so kosom so teni koran zoge darade got so kosom lamde chirbuto ne nyamni nangne de teni tumde donsoma de den songyong go yoro teni shabye deba yoro shabye de deba de chemi yen song yore de chemi yelo lo majana de ngarang so ge chu drop sewande yang 되는 직딩 그 자와 그 차해지 찬로 여러와 잠바 체미 히바도 요츠 랑긴 게 되니 다당 제 다가발라 차바도 힘바데 자완이 좀로 여러와 데리즈드 다 디줌세는 되는 다 체미 이야도 소글로 잔여데 베 가르치 못 하도 요래.
So in the Akrodeka mantra, so Akrodeka is the king of wrath, the wrathful king, and Yamantaka is Yamantaka, and then Hung Pet, specifically the Hung, represents the Dharmakaya, and then from the Dharmakaya then arises the Sambhogakaya, and so therefore it's not that basically is that from that's our state, the ultimate state, the deity arises, and we are not creating, kind of fabricating a deity anew when it didn't already exist before. That's also actually represented by the blue color, this unchanging nature. So it's very important also that we really understand the meaning of the different elements that make up the deity. Because if we don't recognize that, then it's hard really to visualize and meditate on that. And so the meaning is, for example, then so the deity arises with 3 faces, 6 arms, and 4 legs. So the 3 faces represent the 3 kayas, and the 6 arms represent the 6 parameters. And so this term represent also means that the deity has practiced initially the 6 parameters, and then as a result has actualized the state of nirvana, of completion, and for example has taken the 3 kayas as the path and has manifested the perfect result, which then manifests as the 3 faces, for example, or the 6 arms. And then the 4 legs represent the 4 immeasurables. So again, if one doesn't cultivate the 4 immeasurables in one's mind, then one cannot accomplish one's Dharma practice. And even in a worldly sense, one cannot gain any accomplishment. So it is because only when we cultivate immeasurable love can we cut through the root of our selfishness and our clinging attachment. So therefore, it's actually most important to train the mind in those 4 immeasurables.
Then ye yarkala yeba suma de da ninjing ge jaba tamje da sung yori yu yarmala hiwa hibande then koran zu che ninjing ge jaba da ne de zang ge then chobar jin sama ma yin ba then jewa ninji chim bu to ni gana dharma da a sumba ne jin de then 제와 니지 진보 그 지슨 진분 거 요래 생아랑서 남야 동거 말이스 되니 우이간 탱랑아 바테가 가른 총을 쓰나 다 코네 게 드바다 되니 나랑서 제와 요바 니나야 배나 나랑서 타말 그 제와로 내갑 제와로 되니 양 유한도 요래 단 데이터 많이 봐 나야 유라미 바테 총거 요바래서
and then so the 3 faces, he says the right face is white and laughing, and the left is red and stern, and the central one is blue and formidable. So the first one, the right face, represents the purification, having purified all dualistic grasping. So he has purified all those obscurations of dualistic thinking. And then the second one, the left face, which is red, is that after having purified all dualistic grasping, there still is, then even though there is no dualistic grasping, there is love and compassion for all of us. So as you mentioned before in the mantra Dharmadhatu A, then with this empty mind, then also he looks after us with compassion without ever forsaking us. And then the central face is the blue face, is that now that this quality of having purified dualistic grasping and looking after us with great love is unlike the ordinary love that we might experience. So the ordinary love that we experience is temporary and it can change. But his love for us is not like that. It is, and the blue central phase represents that these qualities are never changing.
Teni da xiarere la jin sum sum dingke yore da jin sum de teni du sum ji teni nel dang chama saler chimba den chung chung ge yore teni yingong ye yong de teni drna ke jin de ba de ke marong ba ke du cho tam ji ser jin nong ba teni chonyer min sam su de ba de ke teni khonde tham ji nyam ba ni chu ji yeng su zo ba teni xiang yerwas, teni xiang duzu che chobo ke namba na yinwen, teni wanda ke teni ninji nga ne, teni da karla kuro, teni yindong nze ke yo ba, tazon chung ke yo res.
And then he has, each face has 3 eyes, and the 3 eyes represent the knowledge of the 3 times. And then the right and the left ears are adorned with snakes, with black snakes. And that is a sign of having conquered, of overcome all the demons, the Mara demons. And then between the eyebrows, and the eyebrows are in, again, wrinkles. And also first the eyebrows, and that represents on the forehead areas wrinkled, and that represents the completion, the perfection of the Dharma Dhatu, which is where one realizes that samsara and nirvana are completely equal. And then also the nose, or the noses on each of those faces, are in wrathful furrows, so in wrathful wrinkles, and that is a sign of always dwelling within the state of compassion and accomplishing the benefit of others.
Da den de tini yardang yarder chewa yigi tsuba tela soba ke da kandar timder juni de zen juba si tere ngarang su koalan koyoma de timder juni thoni marek bala tine tini nduzi tela tine nam hisene timder juni lungjong la tine koalan koyong go yorwa de korang namba timder juni lugdo go sorda pang sungdu tini timder juni zaane je somba den sung go yor korang sa rango ne tere de ngarang zola de ke 탑 람데처 다동나 되니 동다 다시데 되니 동거 돌아 코로나 바텔레 팀저 주니 떠서 저저걸로 루도그처다 빵송아 딱 돈에 되니 대빵 빵심바 인스르 다지처 띠네 딜람는 나랑 저걸 놓는데 디 나랑 저게야 됐다버지 코로나처 직바 직장 그때니 권방도 톱로와 다 된송거요 말이 대저당 나랑 저걸 라도 저게 용딘시나 teni deba jie se teni deba jiba ina teni ngarang sola chu ke jing ma yin rawa je yang chang ge yo ba ya rawa.
And then the next a few parts is with wide open mouths and flickering tongues, each face bearing 4 fangs proclaims the sound of Arali and so forth. So then the next few parts of the visualization represent the 12 links of interdependence, of interdependent origination. And so in the kind of progressive order, those 12 links create samsara. So it begins, for example, in the progressive order, it begins with ignorance and then perception and consciousness and so on. And then in order to overcome samsara, these 12 links need to be reversed. So then nirvana is attained when one reverses the order of those 12 links. And so that is what is represented by these different body parts. It's the reverse order of those 12 links of interdependent origination. And it is shown as a symbol representing and kind of showing us the path of this reversal. So everything is shown in terms of signs or symbols and their meaning. And so the meaning is the reversal of the 12 links of interdependent origination, and the sign is the description here. And so it also shows that so he has accomplished that. He has reversed the 12 links of interdependence, and now is showing us symbolically the way to reverse it. And then if we follow it and practice it, then we will attain the same state as he had attained. So basically all the different parts of the deity's body are a representation of the deity's qualities in a deity's mind. And if we understand them, then devotion arises in our mind. And that faith or this devotion is really the foundation of our Dharma practice.
Tene dati od mimata mara marsan chupa hiba de simbe cinta pebze ke je yongsu zoban chung yore tene wata kam serjin de ziba hiba de sisom sipasum serjin nomba sundure tene cha ge ye tambo ko kholo je je de ke de sipun kholo de zawan ju top juzi sundure tene sa ni ye barba de ke radin zin de yore radin de ta mare bu mamba seve te hira ko radin chung ko donre de ke tama de ke dorje tse go ba je nam de yore de ke tene doksom ge ni cho tamje tene tawala ban chung ko yore tene sa yung ke tene dambo de ke jakjun zin de yore de ke tene rokun tamje kowan ne an rimbar se ban chung ko yore 대 바바데 뚜행 인젠데 요래 되는 대제 ngaransolata parche nuzi tai kareresina danzin rewa danzin te chom persiba ten chungko yore ten oma ke dingjob je de yore ten dingjob te ke ten nyomo ba tamje sikpa ka dane dare de dingjob de ten hyab ye yore ten hyab ye de ke tambo ye kumde ba de ke ten gawa ta navdonga tamje serwa chungko yore yung jang de ba de ke jewa den chiwa dong har den chungko yore serwa chungko yore is.
And then he has like crimson eyebrows and a mustache, the mustache flash, and blazing golden hair swirls upward. So the eyebrows, the crimson eyebrows, are a sign of the major and the minor marks of a Buddha, 80 major, 32 minor marks. Then the mustache, the flashing mustache, that's the eyebrows and the mustache, and then the golden hair swirling upward represents the outshining, the overpowering of the three states of samsaric existence. And then the upper right hand, the first upper right hand, wields a wheel of 8 sharp-edged blades, and that is a sign of uprooting, having uprooted the root of samsaric existence. Then the middle hand holds a sword, which is a sign of cutting through the darkness of ignorance. Then the lower hand holds a 9-pronged vajra, which is a sign of having reduced to dust the 3 poisons, the afflictive emotions. And then the upper left hand holds an iron hook, which is a sign of to raising out of samsara all sentient beings. And then the middle hand holds a pestle, which is a sign of destroying, defeating all obstructors and harm doers, which basically is our own self-grasping. And then the lower hand assumes the flaming gesture, the threatening gesture for warding off demons. And so that is a sign of this flaming gesture that burns away this demon of the afflictive emotions. And then the 4 legs, there's 4 legs, and the right ones are bent and the left are outstretched. So the right legs that are bent, that is a sign of dispelling the suffering of aging and sickness. And then the left outstretched legs are a sign of dispelling the suffering of birth and death.
Tapacher te tsam kan dai do jure samsa teni tele tarang ma shipra ji ya de so yore te chondo mambo ti ang go ma tho ba chakhe te nga zo ne ka malam nan de do ti hot shipcha te tsam dan dai do re teni ta kargo te dordu na kargo shiba tin na mandu pa yo mares te kala to ji ya cho yon de teni kargo kala lamna.
So that should do for now for the visualization, and then because it gets very complicated, so if we can just visualize and focus on that, that's fine, because it gets much more detailed, but we won't go into more detail right now. But after the break, what we will talk about is the 9 moods of dance, which is actually all the qualities of the deity are really actually the wrathful deity are really included within those 9 moods of dance. And so when we come back after the break, then that's what we will talk about.
Sunam de tamje zebanye tovanye bedana banze de jege nanje balon roba seben zolen rova jo. Thank you.
So we will take a 20-minute break and we'll see you back here at 10:50 Arizona time. Thank you very much.